The film begins with a narration that introduces us to the profession of stuntmen, often overlooked in the filmmaking process. The lack of appreciation given makes the profession of stuntman undervalued, even though they often perform dangerous stunts for the success of action movies. The scene then showing to a man named Colt, who has worked as a stuntman for 6 years. However, his hard work in the film industry is never appreciated by the actors, let alone the audience. For instance, a famous actor named Tom wants a dangerous scene to be reshot. In his opinion, Colt's performance as a stuntman was not impressive enough because Tom wants Colt to perform something more dangerous and risky to boost his popularity. With no other choice, Colt has to accept the complaint professionally. On his way to the filming location, Colt talks via walkie-talkie with a camera operator named Jody, who is his girlfriend, and they have been in a relationship for quite some time. They also plan to get engaged after the film is completed. Upon arriving at the location, Colt has to redo a scene of falling from the 20th floor without any safety equipment. Colt is willing to repeat this dangerous stunt for the sake of the film and the lead actor's popularity. 18 months later, after suffering a spinal fracture due to a dangerous stunt, Colt decides to leave all his work, including his relationship with his girlfriend Jody. One day, a producer named Gail contacts him again by phone, where she asks Colt to return to work as a stuntman because she needs his expertise in driving. Moreover, Gail believes that only Colt has the courage to take on such dangerous scenes. However, Colt politely declines, as he feels that he has never been appreciated, especially after the incident he experienced, where the lead actor never contacted him and was busy with his own popularity. Not giving up, the producer immediately informs Colt that the one requesting him to be a stuntman is Jody. Hearing that name, Colt immediately agrees to the producer's request because he still loves his ex and regrets leaving her so abruptly. While waiting for his flight the next day, Colt goes back to work as a valet at a small restaurant. In the middle of his work, Colt suddenly gets a brilliant idea to use a customer's car and do a little warm-up to practice his skills as a professional stuntman. The next day, Colt arrives at the filming location, where a crew member asks him to undergo face scanning to match his face with the lead actor. After that, Colt meets with the stunt coordinator and his old friend, Tucker. After their meeting, Tucker quickly takes Colt to the filming site while explaining the scene he needs to perform. Meanwhile, Jody, who works as the director, is busy preparing everything. This time, she wants the film to run smoothly without any mistakes, so there are no repeated scenes. In the midst of her busyness, a visual effects crew member tries to convince Jody to use visual effects to reduce dangerous risks. However, she wants everything to look as natural as possible and opts for the dangerous scenes to be performed by a stuntman. Upon arriving at the location, Colt suddenly feels unconfident due to the trauma from his previous accident. Hearing this, Tucker immediately encourages his friend and asks him to do it for Jody's future career. Upon hearing his ex's name, Colt is instantly fired up and begins preparations. Not long after, all the crew gets ready for the scene, and as the director, Jody leads the scene by driving the camera car that will film Colt as he drives at high speed along the beach. The crew will follow Colt from behind, while the cameraman and Jody will drive in front of him for the shot. During the filming process, Tucker instructs Colt to increase his car's speed so the camera can get a close-up. However, Colt refuses due to the bumpy beach sand. Unfortunately, Tucker insists, causing Colt to crash into the camera. Fortunately, there are other cameras available, so the shooting continues to the most dangerous scene. After the most dangerous scene, Tucker instructs the crew not to approach until the stuntman gives a signal. Shortly after, Colt signals that he is okay, and all the crew quickly come over to assist him. Even Jody approaches to praise the stuntman. However, Jody is shocked to discover that it was Colt who performed the dangerous stunt. Not accepting Colt suddenly appearing after being missing for over a year, Jody immediately asks for a private conversation. At that moment, Jody is furious at Colt because he suddenly became a stuntman without her permission as the director. Hearing this, Colt quickly explains that it was Gail who invited him to join as a stuntman again. After that, Jody asks Tucker to find another stuntman, but he refuses because all available stuntmen are new and inexperienced. Reluctantly, Jody has to accept Colt as the stuntman for the film she is directing. Not long after, the filming continued, and Colt now performed another dangerous stunt where he had to endure being set on fire and thrown for an important scene. In the middle of the scene, Jody suddenly stopped the filming because she noticed Colt looking confused. This made Jody very certain that Colt hadn't read the film script, causing the scene to be red-hot several times. Seeing no progress, Jody finally explained the film's script to Colt, where the film told the story of a love affair between a cowboy and an alien from different galaxies, but one day, the cowboy suddenly disappears. Indirectly, this story mirrored the love story between Jody and Colt. At the end of her explanation, Jody tested Colt by asking what the cowboy would say if he suddenly appeared in front of the alien. Understanding the direction of the question, Colt answered with deep emotion. That night, Colt met Gale at the filming location. The producer then praised his impressive action during the shoot and explained why she had asked Colt to return to work. Gale then revealed that Tom, the lead actor, and his stuntman named Henry had suddenly disappeared in the middle of the film's production. She suspected that both were involved in a drug case, which is why Gale asked Colt to come back. Additionally, she requested Colt to find Tom and Henry because if they were not found, the film and Jody's career would be ruined. Even though his responsibilities increased and his pay remained the same, Colt agreed to do it because it was related to Jody. Before Colt left, Gale gave him information about Tom's apartment. After hearing all the producer's explanations, Colt accepted the task. He then asked the film crew for a car with Gale's permission. While in the car, his gaze turned to Jody in the distance, and memories filled his mind, recalling all the moments he shared with Jody. Filled with these memories, Colt became even more determined to save Jody's career by finding Tom and Henry. Arriving at Tom's apartment, Colt quickly entered and searched for information. Unfortunately, Colt found no clues. During his search, a woman suddenly appeared and attacked him, making Colt struggle because he had no real combat experience. As a result, Colt mostly dodged and took a few severe hits but eventually managed to stop all the attacks. Moments later, it turned out that the woman was Tom's girlfriend who attacked Colt because he had suddenly sneaked in. Not wanting to waste time, Colt immediately asked for Tom's whereabouts, and the woman informed him that Tom often went to a nightclub to conduct drug deals. Knowing this, Colt immediately went to the nightclub mentioned and deliberately dressed up like Tom so he could speak directly with the drug dealers from the Mexican cartel. As expected, Colt was allowed to speak directly with the dealer named Dune. In the middle of their conversation, Dune offered Colt a drink that had been laced with a tranquilizer, successfully making him drunk. Seeing this, Dune ordered his men to capture Colt, but feeling threatened, Colt immediately attacked them. After seeing the fight break out, Dune quickly ran to the nearest taxi. Not wanting to lose track of him, Colt chased after him despite being drunk. Finally, Colt managed to stop the fleeing drug dealer. At that moment, he unconsciously gave a thumbs up as a signal, a habit from his stuntman days, because he was not used to dealing with real danger. This incident scared Dune, and he then gave all the information to Colt. Additionally, Dune told Colt that if he saw a unicorn, it meant that Colt was still under the influence of the tranquilizer. In short, Colt managed to break into a hotel room where Tom was supposed to be, according to the information he had obtained, but unfortunately, he found nothing there except for a unicorn. In the middle of his search, Jody suddenly called Colt to have a discussion, where they engaged in a long discussion about the story development in Jody's film. After the discussion ended, Colt resumed his search for information about Tom, and Colt was very shocked when he saw a corpse in the bathtub. Without hesitation, Colt quickly left the room and reported it to the police. The next day, filming continued as usual and Jody came over to Colt to give a brief about the scene for the day. She also thanked him because, thanks to their discussion the night before, Jody had come up with a very interesting story idea. Before filming, Jody asked a crew member to create special effects on Colt's face to make him look like Tom in the film. After that, Colt resumed his role as a stuntman and performed an extreme scene. During the scene, Colt did it very well to make Jody satisfied with the results. When the filming was over, Jody came over to appreciate Colt for his hard work during the shoot and also invited him to karaoke if he wasn't busy. Hearing this, Colt was very touched because it was the first time he felt appreciated by a director. As Colt was about to go after Jody, Gale suddenly approached him, handing over a plane ticket and a car ready to take him to the airport. She then said that Tom and Henry had returned, so Colt was no longer needed. However, Colt did not follow her instructions because he felt something was off. Colt then went to meet Tom's assistant to get information about Tom. Unfortunately, the assistant knew nothing because the assistant only took care of Tom's dog and kept his phone that had been left behind. One night, Someone terrorized Tom's assistant over the phone and demanded the phone. In the middle of their conversation, Tom's assistant was suddenly kidnapped. Not wanting to let the kidnappers escape, Colt decided to chase them. Using his stuntman experience and the help of the best stunt dog, Colt managed to catch up with the perpetrators and close the gap between their cars. Colt also instructed his dog to attack first. Unfortunately, Colt was not skilled in fighting as he was only good at performing dangerous stunts, so he was often defeated and cornered in fights. At that moment, Colt realized that if he stopped fighting, Jody's career in the film would end badly. So, no matter how many times Colt fell, he would always rise to fight. As a result, they both survived the incident, although Colt ended up battered and bruised. It turned out that the kidnappers wanted Tom's phone, which was with Tom's assistant. Not wanting to be threatened again, Tom's assistant immediately handed over the phone to Colt, who then quickly ran to the karaoke place to report everything to Jody. Upon arriving at the karaoke place, Colt only found Tucker and some crew members, and Tucker explained that Jody had left earlier. Hearing this, Colt decided to tell Tucker what had happened and also asked for his help to crack the password on Tom's phone because he believed there was something very important inside. Without delay, the two of them went to Tom's apartment and began looking for information on Tom's phone password. Sometime later, they managed to unlock it and watched several videos on the phone. One of the videos showed Tom deliberately killing his stuntman, Henry, and after that incident, Tom disappeared without a trace. Not long after, a news broadcast on TV reported Henry's murder. Unfortunately, the media reported that Colt was the perpetrator of the murder. This left Colt even more confused about what had happened because, as far as he knew, he had only left the hotel after finding a corpse in the bathtub, but the media reported otherwise. It didn't stop there. The kidnappers from earlier that morning came back to see Colt to demand Tom's phone. Not wanting to get beaten up again, Colt began preparing everything as he had learned from experience and was more ready this time. When the kidnappers entered the apartment, Colt immediately attacked them. In the midst of the fight, unfortunately, Tom's phone got hit by a bullet, and the armed kidnappers managed to corner Colt and Tucker. But fortunately, Colt had anticipated everything, so he was able to turn the situation around with ease. Colt and Tucker then split up to save themselves. Finally, the secrets were revealed, showing that all the problems were the result of a plan by Gale and Tom. Initially, the chaos began because Tom disliked Henry and was jealous of his popularity, which exceeded his own. Moreover, Henry often mocked Tom in public because he did not perform his own action scenes in films, which infuriated Tom to the point of killing Henry. Additionally, Tom was also the one who caused Colt to suffer a spinal fracture. To avoid the police, Tom reported to Gale, who then fabricated a story that Tom was involved in a drug case and asked Colt to help him get out of the drug influence. After the plan was set in motion, Colt would be sent back to his country and would be driven to the airport in a car rigged with a timed bomb, which would explode on the way to the airport. Gale did this to clear Tom's name from Henry's murder, so the media would link Henry's suspicious death with Colt's death. After learning that Tom's phone was damaged and there was nothing left to fear, and the video of Henry's murder would not be found, Tom decided to proceed with the initial plan to kill Colt and then falsely report to the media that he had died after killing Henry. In short, Colt managed to hide among the ships and immediately called Jody to tell her everything. Not only that, he also expressed his feelings and apologized for all his actions as he felt guilty for letting Jody bear the pain alone. In the middle of their conversation, Tom's men caught up with him. With no other choice, Colt decided to perform a dangerous stunt for the last time. Seeing what was happening, Tom's men immediately contacted Gale to inform her that Colt was dead. After that, the news quickly spread and reached Jody's ears, although Colt was actually still alive. One morning, Jody was watching the news about Colt's death in her office when she was startled by someone wearing an alien costume who suddenly appeared in her room and began attacking the creature. In the midst of the commotion, the alien gave a thumbs up, making Jody realize that the person was Colt. Not wanting to waste any time, they immediately planned the capture of Gale and Tom by making Tom confess to his crimes, eventually forcing him to perform his own stunts without a stuntman. And at the right moment, Colt would catch him. In short, Tom was set to perform one last extreme stunt, and Jody gave a brief instruction that he would drive a car and make a jump using visual effects, and Tom would do it all himself without a stuntman. To make the scene more extreme, Tom had to perform the stunts with his hands cuffed. As everything went according to plan, Colt suddenly entered and took over the scene. Apparently, while Jody was busy briefing Tom, Colt and Tucker were preparing to capture Tom. They had carefully planned everything so that no one could escape, while Jody was busy capturing this extreme scene for her film. Soon, they reached the most dangerous scene where Colt would jump over a ravine. Seeing this, Tom immediately confessed to all his crimes, unaware that there was a microphone attached to his body during the filming. After recording his confession, Colt decided to teach him a lesson for underestimating the work of stuntmen by taking him along for the jump. On the other hand, not wanting to go to jail, Gail quickly grabbed the audio recording from the soundman's car. Not only that, she also berated and belittled Jody as a director and ordered Tom and his men to escape immediately. Soon after, Gail and Tom managed to escape using a helicopter. But Colt did not want to let them get away because if they did, he would end up in jail and Jody's career would be ruined. So Colt and Jody teamed up to chase the helicopter, creating an extreme action scene. After finishing everything, it showed Colt and Jody on vacation together, where they resumed dating and planned their wedding. At the end of the film, Jody directed the action film they had previously planned, and it received much praise from the audience, with even the dog attending the premiere. The film then concluded. Moral lesson from the story: no matter how dangerous your job, if you fall from the 20th floor, at least make sure you have someone who will shout, "Cut," before you hit the ground. And if you're ever being chased by a unicorn, it's probably time to reconsider your career choices.